This spring, we'll be talking about the pagans and Christmas as we know it.
Oh yeah, you still celebrate Christmas?
You still celebrate Christmas as a God-fearing Christian? I got news for you. Cut that out. I don't want him to come for me.
Trust me, he doesn't watch. I'm exhausted. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about one of the most wild weekends in sports I've ever seen. The only normal thing was the Lakers being down by 27 at half today. I was saying that I was gonna wanted to start with Rams Bucks. Welcome back, everybody. Cover 2 championship week we are in now, and birthday week. What a hell of a week this is gonna be. Hopefully, cross our fingers. Yeah, I thought that we should have started with Rams Bucks, and then we just watched, I think, the best game ever.
At least of the season.
Can you think of a game that you've watched that is as crazy, with as good of quarterback play, with as good of,
that's like a classic game we'll look back on in years.
Just insane. What I think Nance said going into overtime, there was like 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes. Just unbelievable. So let's kick it off with what we just watched. Bills Chiefs, what we said and what I think we're both right in saying, and isn't some crazy take that we're watching our next Brady Manning, two guys that are with their teams, ain't going anywhere, barring something crazy, barring 95% of people dying from the vaccine, like my dad thinks is going to happen. And Josh Allen, he's overcome so many things. He's overcome the sophomore slump. He's overcome now the Patriots in his division, and then beating them in the playoffs again after they had come back from their kind of bye year, I guess. The one hurdle he needs to get over is the Chiefs, and obviously we cannot blame him for any of that. I have here just a brief obviously everybody watched this game, but just to put into context a little bit of what happened here. Josh Allen, 27 of 37, 329 yards, 4 touchdowns, 68 rushing yards. His scrambling, dude. Who would you compare his scrambling to?
There's no other quarterback like it.
It's like a combination of everybody. Yeah, everybody who's good at it, he's a combination of. He can throw at a weird-ass angle like Rodgers and Mahomes. He can
just as strong as any other quarterback in the league.
And his quickness to get away, if you're a Frank Clark running straight at me, and his just little, it's like Kyler. When Kyler does it, he does it just as well as that.
And he's so much bigger than him, too.
Oh, my God.
For
and when he
size
runs,
he's so fast, but he's bruising, too. He will run you over, and he put the team on his back,
and he lets his blockers set up blocks. When he's running it like a big running back, tight end, a tight body.
I'm saying. Yeah, he's unreal. And those last 2 drives he had were so crazy, and he 100% deserved to go.
Oh my God,
he deserves to go.
Unbelievable. So just again, some more context. Gabriel Davis, maybe the best receiving game ever. 8 catches, 201 yards.
I guess he found his help.
4 touchdowns. He found his help. That's the guy. Yeah, just bring him back. First player ever in the playoffs to have 4 touchdowns. Has a borderline perfect game. Their offense has a borderline perfect game. But on the other side, a borderline perfect game. Mahomes, 33 of 44 for 378, 3 TDs, the 69 rushing yards of his own. I, of course, have seen him. I've watched him a million times already. But, it wasn't really till today that I saw his scrambling and,
oh, yeah, dude.
What it actually, how good he is.
It's a very underrated part of his game that people don't talk about. He can get away because the Bills' defense is really good.
Number 1 in DVOA
in
defense.
In his face, they really send pressure a lot.
And he's so good. It's not you're not going to be designing any runs for him like you are Allen. But
if he gets flustered, he can get out, and they're not accounting for it
crazy.
At all.
He did take a lot of hits that I feel. That's the other thing with Allen is he's so big that I have confidence over the course of his career. He can take a lot more of those hits and stay durable. Yeah, he's like a Big Ben who can run like a freaking Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Insane. Tyreek Hill, 11 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown, including one that just proved he's the fastest man alive. Sorry.
They're just still
Usain.
They're just
Usain
still
Bolt
so
would lose
good
to him in a race, 100%.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the fastest man alive. It's unbelievable. To start the game, we had the first 2 drives of the game should have told us what we were going to see. The Bills go 15 plays, 70 yards. The Chiefs follow it with 13 plays, 75 yards of their own. We get a few punts, then the Chiefs go 14 plays for 81 yards. That's all it was, is just perfect quarterback play, perfect offense. A big holding call. That 14-play drive for 81 yards was right before the half, and they actually held him on a third down, and then there's that holding call on whoever it was that was guarding Tyreek. The Bills go 75 yards in 9 plays in like a minute and 15 seconds, and a second Gabriel Davis touchdown right before the half, and it keeps it close. Actually, literally before the half, you had Harrison Butker line up for a field goal, and Jay Feely just ruins his career by telling, Justin Tucker is the best kicker in the league, but Harrison Butker is right behind him. And then it was what, like, not really, it wasn't the deepest field goal.
No, he has a big leg too.
Yeah,
so
and he missed it pretty easily, and then he later on he clanked a extra point.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, great, they just ruined him. Like, yeah, this is gonna continue. Like, it seems to go so fast for kickers. I know. Oh yeah, it was Robbie Gould yesterday. They waited until after the kick when he made it. They're like, yeah, I didn't want to throw in that he's been perfect in his career in the playoffs because I didn't want to jinx him. So I mean, we need to stop doing all that. And
yeah, you need to.
But yeah, that was big. That was a big missed field goal right before the half. Chiefs score 10 straight to start the third quarter, including another 15-yard for a 15-play drive. And then a quick 10-second drive when Josh Allen just goes 75 yards. Like, dude, the throws that they make off platform, like, it's unlike anything that we've ever seen. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been the guy who can make any kind of weird throw just because of his arm at any angle. But, I mean, the two of them, like, you talk about, like, not having your feet set and making a perfect throw in stride. Mahomes had that one freaking sidearm, the one that I think it was Cole Beasley that was going up this, like, a post up the seam.
Oh yeah,
that Allen just led him straight in stride, like, absolutely unbelievable. Chiefs field goal. Bills go 19 plays, 75 yards in 7 minutes, and take the lead with a crazy Diggs 2-point conversion that puts them up 3. And then that next play and that next drive is when he hits Tyreek. And Tyreek, I mean, runs by everybody. Like, it's absolute. I don't even blame the Bills defense at some point. Like,
that's just pure, like, the Chiefs have just
a cheat code.
Yeah.
Like Romo was saying it, like he hit a spin move he was like, he pressed circle right there. Like, it was so unbelievable. And you're like, holy, like, right when you think Josh Allen's going to do it and there's only a minute left now, great. Well, nope, he goes down in 47 seconds and he hits Gabriel Davis again for his 4th touchdown. And now you're thinking, okay, it's finally over. Like, he finally did it. 13
Watch
seconds.
Watch him breathe out. You're like, oh, okay, he's like
now
brought to tears.
Minor debate. Again, no matter what, the ball's at the 25-yard line, 13 seconds. You got to just not let them get in field goal range. Would you have kicked it off, like, to try to make them take it out a little bit?
Or maybe kick it short?
Just, try to kick it to, like, the 10-yard line,
runs
5-yard line.
It runs a little bit of timeout,
like,
but...
I mean, it would take probably 4 or 5 seconds off, and now all of a sudden they only have 7 seconds, 8 seconds.
You just run the risk of maybe some shitty
of them taking it back
getting
or
up
whatever.
to like the 40 maybe, and then it's like okay, 2 good plays and we're there. I don't know.
Yeah,
you probably don't want to give them a touchback though. Take as much time as you can, kick it short if you can help it.
I was surprised too they had Byron Pringle back there, that with a kick that could maybe ruin or win your season, you wouldn't have Tyreek back there. I think I would have done that in like a desperate scenario, but they didn't, which it didn't matter. He hits
13 seconds. Are you joking? I literally said, I saw the time in the kickoff. I'm like, 13 seconds. That's too much. They have 3 timeouts in 13 seconds. So they will do some shit. Travis Kelce, he is a god in overtime. He is so good in overtime. He will tear apart any defense. You cannot give them any time. You have to give them 4 seconds.
It's
3 seconds.
It's officially the new, like, Rodgers thing where it's like you can't leave. And I'll just for both of them, but especially the Chiefs right now, just because, I mean, obviously Gabriel Davis, amazing game, but like the Kelce Hill factor and Mahomes, like, you literally cannot give them any time, like
maybe 3 seconds,
maybe one play, but even then, like,
they could draw some shit, dude.
It's so crazy.
So
crazy. So then they go to overtime, and Josh Allen makes the only mistake that he made all day.
He was perfect on coin tosses too.
By was he really?
He was like 9-0 on coin tosses.
That's hilarious. How do we feel about the overtime rules That's like the big thing right now.
Oh, we talked about it. They suck, man. He should have a chance to go out there, and they should each get to just throw the ball into the end zone. And if you complete it, great. If you don't, give them both a chance. Why not?
Because
What does it
really
hurt?
felt when the Chiefs won the toss, like both
Whoever gets
defenses
the ball
were just,
first wins.
Yeah, so gassed.
Especially the Chiefs. If you give the Chiefs the ball in overtime, like our game a few weeks ago, you're gonna lose. Especially the Chargers, but overtime playing the Chiefs, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill will tear you apart.
Unreal. Tyrann Mathieu, that was a big loss. Oh my God, dude. Gabriel, the ankles that he gave on that guy on the last 19-yard, 29-yard touchdown, whatever it was. Oh my God. Like, every time he was throwing it and like the guy was going to catch it before even knowing it was, we were just down like, Davis again? And he gets up and it's number 13. You're like, oh my God, dude.
Where'd he come from?
I don't know. Like,
crazy
to just have that game. But I can't say enough just how I thought this was the Super Bowl, and in a lot of ways I still think it was. That I think the Chiefs will handle it next week, and we'll get to it later. But I just that game, dude, like, I was exhausted by the end of it.
I was so happy too. 13 seconds, I'm like, yeah, Josh Allen.
I wanted it so bad.
And I don't need the AFC West going anymore. I don't need Burrow going to the Super Bowl. I don't need those comparisons. I wanted Josh Allen to beat the Bengals, go to the Super Bowl, and they can win it. Green Bay's out. I don't really care at this point.
Yeah.
It's not Brady's. I don't want the Rams to win it in our stadium.
Right.
My grand plan was Buffalo, so now I'm just...
I know. I wanted it so bad for him, too. Such a fun game.
I guess Mahomes goes to the Super Bowl again. I guess that's best case scenario
probably,
for us.
I guess.
I don't need those Burrow-Herbert comparisons in my life yet.
They're already here and they're screaming.
The Rivers and the Eli and the Bennett's just another round of that.
Well, let's do that next. Let's stay in the AFC. I haven't had a better weekend watching sports in a very long time. I said last night that was the first sporting event that's brought me joy in what feels like so long.
Yeah.
Because even the Cowboy wins, I don't buy anymore because I think they're frauds now just for the rest of my life. But we won't say the C word the rest of this podcast. Let's go to Tennessee, where the one-seeded Tennessee Titans came in. I guess we both said we picked the Bengals, but we weren't going to be shocked at all. Before even getting to Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase or any of the... Jesse Bates had a huge interception. The Tannehill disaster. First person we have to shout out is Evan McPherson.
Yeah.
Most people would think it's dumb, stupid to draft a kicker at all.
No.
Let alone draft one in the 5th round.
Not stupid.
And this is a rookie who's the first kicker to make 4 or more field goals in multiple postseason games. And the ones he made 2 from 50 plus, including the game winner, made like a 43-yarder and another 30-something yarder. And they were all just perfect. So shout out to Evan McPherson.
Sometimes you just need your kicker to win you games like that. Like it's happened with Robbie Gould a couple of years ago where he's just kicking 5-6 field goals and that wins them the game because it's tough.
So important in the playoffs.
That's a very good shout out.
So important. I've got just in terms of a couple of headlines out of them. The Titans tie an NFL playoff record for sacks in a game with 9, which is unbelievable. Justin Simmons with 3. I think Harold Landry had 4.5.
It's insane.
Insane, which makes it even more impressive that Joe Burrow is not only the first second-year quarterback to win multiple playoff games since Russell Wilson, and we know what happened that year. That was when they won. He's the first player to get sacked 9 times and win a playoff game. So that is insane. The fact that we have this second-year quarterback, we're going to get to the Rodgers and Brady stuff and not knowing what's happening with their future. What we do know is that we will be just fine without them because we have these young Allens, Mahomes, and now Joe Burrows, and we'll eventually get Herbert in there. And, these just monsters. We're complaining about Kyler Murray. He's way down on the list, and he's unbelievable. Unfortunately, I have one, maybe the worst in all of them in Dak, but we won't say the D word either the rest of this podcast. But the first player to get sacked 9 times and win a playoff game, his just aura is clearly.
He needs his flowers.
It's unbelievable. Sure. He's just going to take that franchise, and he's literally taking them.
Joey franchise.
Yeah, literally. Joey franchise. January Joey. We talk about these young guys, which can lead us into the Tannehill problem that the Titans have.
I wanted to talk about it.
So,
they're a 1-seed team. Are they a quarterback away? Add a couple more pieces and get a young quarterback.
I think it's mostly just a quarterback.
Derrick Henry, and okay, they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
And now you have this. I think you need a little receiver help.
I mean, yeah,
AJ
it
Brown
never.
is great.
AJ Brown
is
is great.
debatable.
He's
Get
washed.
or maybe a really solid fast tight end. Like a good pass catching,
Yeah.
a fast tight end who can chip in and block, like a Kittle. Could you imagine a Kittle in that offense too?
Yeah, no, I mean, clearly their defense isn't the problem. Obviously,
Dude,
like a little
yeah.
corner help would be nice, but they have an All-Pro safety in Byard, and their D line, of course, is
It's
great.
nasty.
And
They're
Vrabel is just
nasty.
a great coach, like on the defensive side and keeping everybody. I mean, I watched multiple games this weekend that was just such few penalties. Again, something that I don't know about with the C words and the D words and the Mike McCarthy's. I've got many different words I would like to use for him. Some little good news, Jerry said the other day that he hasn't made any decisions on the coaching front.
It looks like he's out. I think he's out.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions and get my hopes up, but we can only hope so. I think he was maybe waiting to see how the Packers did against that Niners team and maybe saw if it looked like because if the Packers would have rolled them or whatever, then it would have been like, wow, we lost to that team, but that didn't happen.
No, they're fucking hot right now.
Anyways, back to Ryan Tannehill. First play of the game, throws an interception that leads to 3.
And I was a Tannehill truther too. I was like, okay, he's pretty good. He's a Jimmy Garoppolo of the Titans, but you need more than a Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I mean, it's
Jimmy
not good to be a
Garoppolo-
Jimmy Garoppolo either. Like it's saying
Is it so bad to be Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean,
he
look
is
where
just so good looking that he's having everything fall for
Just
him in
works out
life
for him.
because like
Yeah.
Mikey mentioned it today, in games where he's thrown no touchdowns, he's like 8-2. Like he's just so lucky and like
Oh yeah,
it's insane.
yeah.
After a Bengals touchdown later in I think the second or third quarter, Tannehill throws a red zone interception, even worse, a bad one too. Luckily they were able to hold them to a punt after that, but it still cost them minimum
Yeah,
3
you can't
points.
Give the ball away in the playoffs.
No. And then after Titans field goal, then Burrow throws a pick, which wasn't his fault. Samaje Perine should have caught it. And then Tannehill actually throws a beautiful touchdown to AJ Brown, back shoulder, and it, I think ties the game. Yeah, it ties the game. The Bengals hold them on a 4th and 1 for the second time. That was crazy. They had a 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, and with Henry just gets stuffed. And it was the second time they did it because after a 15-yard penalty after their touchdown, they took it to the 1-yard line and tried to run it in to get a 2-point conversion, which cost them later on down the line. It's really interesting in the playoff to see like those going forward on 4th downs. The Bills did it on the first drive, like 4th and 2 or 3. I was like, damn, like this is ballsy. This could really come back in a playoff game.
On like their 45, maybe.
Yeah, still on their side of the field. Those play calls are magnified so much more in the playoffs that it's always interesting you can really see who's coached well and who's equipped to handle those types of moments. Again, we won't mention my C words because we're the worst at it. But Tannehill throws with 25 seconds left. His 3rd interception. And Joe Burrow hits Jamar quick for a 20-yard play, running a couple times. I thought they should have done something to try to get a little closer to take a little bit of pressure off McPherson, but apparently it didn't matter because he comes onto the field and apparently tells someone coming onto the field before he even kicks, oh, looks like we're going to the Afc Championship game. Like, the nuts on that guy. I saw some video of him in college. You see that thing of he was in wherever he was playing practice facility, and up on the goalpost they had a Gatorade bottle taped on there and the cap.
Oh,
and
shit,
he kicked it from like 35 yards and did that little fucking spinning the cap off thing.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the Tannehill problem, I think, is one that maybe gets addressed this offseason.
Yeah.
That's a bad loss. A 1 seed at home.
I feel like they're going to try to run it back. I feel like they're the team. Oh, this is our guy. We're going to run it back.
It doesn't seem like there's many
healthy.
excuses. I mean, you have kind of the Derrick Henry excuse, but
I don't think he's a playoff guy. Like regular season, he plays really good sometimes. Sometimes he looks really debatable, but
right, he's going to have to consistently go up against Josh Allen,
do you want
Mahomes,
Ryan
Joe Burrow.
Tannehill playing Patrick Mahomes next week instead of the Bengals? Like, do you really want him facing off against No, you don't. Who goes there, though? Who comes to Tennessee? Because it's kind of a hot, like, you go there and you're in a good situation. You have a great running back, and especially if they add more pieces.
Yeah, they're definitely in
now.
a spot that you probably don't want to draft somebody and
You don't have
take
time
that
to develop.
chance. No, so you either have to throw the farm in terms of trading for one of these quarterbacks, these Russes, Watsons, Rodgers. If you don't get one of those guys, then you probably run it back with Tannehill because there are worse options. I mean,
absolutely.
And you have a good regular season, and then hopefully you can just get on one of these 49er runs that they're on right now, or the same run that they just made last year or the year before with Henry having his crazy games. So I still think you got to swing. You got to take a swing
Oh, yeah.
at one of these big guys. It's not very often that you have these Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilsons, Deshaun Watsons just available that want to leave. So I assume they try to do something. But Bengals Chiefs now. We like the Chiefs, obviously.
I think they're going to handle business.
Did we not just see the Bengals beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago? Yeah, the Bengals won 34-31 in Cincinnati.
Playoffs are different, though.
Very different.
In Arrowhead.
In Arrowhead.
Yeesh.
I would be shocked if they won.
Yeah. Whoever's betting on the
I won't be
underdogs for that.
surprised because, I mean, after this weekend, I mean, who knows?
Anything can happen now.
But I would be shocked because,
no doubt.
I mean,
They're
of
a great
all
team,
the
but-
turmoil, the Brady losing, the Rodgers is losing, the only consistent things we saw were the Cowboys choke it away in the first round and the Chiefs just look dominant in back-to-back weeks. I mean, they very easily could have lost today, but at the same time, they looked like it's going to be really hard to come in there and beat them next week.
I think that they're going to handle it. Nothing against the Bengals. I think they're great.
No. Hopefully Tyrann Mathieu back. He got concussed, so that's going to be big. Trey Hendrickson got hurt at the end of that game yesterday too. So assuming everyone's healthy, but who knows, man? Who knows? Like, to see Burrow with this confidence and this, like, again, aura around him where it looks like he's been here before so
He's
many
just
other
a
times.
winner. He
If
just
you
goes
want to
to
have the
championships.
Burrow-Herbert debate, I mean, I honestly think they're on par with each other talent-wise. Like, maybe Herbert's a little more mobile, but Burrow's got a little bit more maybe of, like, that whole it thing that we talk about where...
He's just a really good, like, field general, and he's just really good at
Right, and he's
commanding
crazy
a
accurate.
team.
He's crazy accurate for the plays.
And championship, big stage experience. He's
Right.
very cool.
And Herbert just hasn't had that opportunity yet.
He's had a Rose Bowl.
Right, and we've seen it with Joe, like, where he's just had the
National
opportunity more times.
championship
But
level shit, yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
it's wild. So
I
I guess I won't
understand,
be
I
that
just-
shocked if he comes. I mean, I can't be because he won't be. He won't be shocked if he goes into Arrowhead and wins because he has that, like, even after the game yesterday, he's just sitting here just, yeah, no, they're a good team. We came in. I mean, he said in the post game after, like, he's tired of the underdog thing. He's like, we're to take it all. I think those were his exact words. So that's gonna be so much fun. I mean, shout out Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Mike Vrabel, whatever, all of them. But happy the Bengals won because that game next week, Bengals Chiefs, will be very, very fun. And they will be playing the winner of that game, the winner of a Niners Rams, a third rematch that we will see. Do you want to start Rams Bucks or do you want to go Niners Packers?
Let's just get Niners Packers out of the way.
Okay, so last night in a, I guess you could call it boring game. Obviously, it was still really fun to watch.
It's just a
Very confusing. I honestly need to watch I think the whole game again
me
because
too.
I saw the Packers go down the field to start the game. 12 plays, 69 yards, 6 minutes. Easy. It looked so easy, and it really looked like they were going to just roll. And they had just over 200 yards the entire rest of the game. They have finished with what? 10 points? 13 points.
It was
10 points.
10 points.
10
San
points.
Francisco 13.
So I didn't know what to think. It looked like Devontae could get open whenever he wanted to, and A-Rod did hit him. I think A-Rod and Devontae and Aaron Jones had like 90% of their scrimmage yards. But a blocked punt for a touchdown ties it up late in the game. I mean, Jimmy G does nothing. He goes 11 for 19, 131 yards, an interception, only a 57 passer rating. Everyone's blasting Aaron Rodgers last night on Twitter. Oh, the woke mob called the 49ers defense cancels Aaron Rodgers, or maybe he doesn't like science or the 49ers secondary or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't think he played horrible. He was like still 20 to 25 for 200 something and like a 91 passer rate. Like it wasn't the worst. It was just
His QBR is a 19.4, but during cold blizzard games, your quarterback play is never going to be 100%. It's a lot of slow.
Right. I mean,
when on the short passes, your run game has to be very sharp, which guess what team is on fire with their run game right now?
Right.
San Francisco. They're
And
playing
holding the
in
run
a
game. They haven't
playoff
allowed more than
run the ball
68
game.
yards rushing since like week 10. Like
Yeah.
they've been elite against the run. And Aaron Jones had a good game, but it definitely wasn't. And AJ Dillon got hurt in the second half and I don't think came back.
12 carries on 41 yards for Aaron Jones. So, like, okay.
Yeah, not really. Not anything that you can just
So
pound
you
on and rely on.
Pick the ball down the field with this blizzard, run it a little bit, but like,
And can we get the man another weapon to throw to other than Devontae Adams? Like,
yeah,
sure, Alan Lazard is fine.
Valdez Scantling,
Valdez
they're great. But come on.
Yeah, not very fine and not very great. Like, we need to get this man a couple other people that are going to be able to get open. And he had it, and some 81 guy, I don't even remember the name, that I hadn't seen all year, was open 20 yards down the field, and he drops it. And like, Mason Crosby misses a field goal before half. And like, why are we not blasting him? Like, obviously A-Rod's the easy one. And then after the game, he makes his comment that I think things are going to look different here. So you said you had a thought about Aaron Rodgers. Let me hear it.
Well, it's just tough because if the 49ers weren't in this playoff picture, let's say they got eliminated because Jimmy just really fell off and kind of lost on the games because he's Jimmy, that's a perfect destination for him to go. He wanted to play there. They're in I mean, right now it looks even better because they look like they could be in Super Bowl form again. But it's tough because if Jimmy takes you to a Super Bowl and you win or lose, you just trade him away because you know you're getting Rodgers, and Rodgers plays there now because they're Super Bowl contenders. He doesn't want to go play for a rebuilding team. The Packers need help, like you said. Get him more help. He doesn't want to stick around for a rebuild. It wouldn't really be a rebuild. They've been the 1 seed for 3 years now. I think San Francisco's kind of juicy, though.
Well,
They're
well, I don't
right
think
here,
so. How much of it do we think is his choice? Because he's under contract.
He
So
is under contract.
He has to
yeah.
get traded.
So why is he talking about it, though? Like,
Well,
I
I think
play
it's
for
because remember at the
rebuilding.
beginning of this season when he came back and like it was finally he was going to play, it was because apparently him and Green Bay had agreed to evaluate his situation at the end of the year. That was the words and the
And there was
terms
all
that we
that
heard.
last dance training camp
Right,
shit.
him and Devontae posting the picture of
Everyone,
MJ
yeah.
and Scottie Pippen. And
Cobb came back and let's run it back one more time, and it
Right.
was like this last dance.
they go into the offseason with the second worst cap situation. They go into the offseason, and this is before figuring out what they're doing with Devontae, whether it be extending or franchise tagging him. $44 million over the cap.
Yeah,
So I think it's not only about like how they're going to be able to keep all their guys. I don't think they're going to be able to. I think they're going to have to make a harsh decision with Preston Smith or with or Zadarius Smith or something. I can't really tell where their money is. Like, how are they $44 million over the cap? Who are they paying? I mean, I think A-Rod's cap hit is only 35 or 37 or something. It's not something
those
ridiculous.
Older quarterback contracts are usually pretty friendly.
Right, and he signed his extension a couple years ago, so even though they offered him one to make him the highest paid this last offseason, but his cap number isn't crazy. Aaron Jones makes $11 million. Devontae doesn't make anything crazy right now. I don't have it in front of me, but
a huge extension too. Like,
right, exactly. So I mean, how do you like? They're probably paying David Bakhtiari just because it's him and he's been
you gotta keep him. That O-line is
right. So I would have to get it in front of me of who they're paying and how they are $44 million over the cap. I don't think they've extended Jair Alexander yet, so like I don't think they're paying him a crazy amount. Like Darnell Savage and them in the back, the secondary, I don't think are making crazy money. Like I don't know how they're that far over, but I don't blame Aaron for being in the position where if they are gonna have to kind of somewhat rebuild, and also. At the end of the day, I just don't blame him for being in a place for 15 years and wanting to maybe just try something else out. I mean, we're in a player movement era now, and not just the NBA, but also the NFL and MLB too, where it's like guys aren't staying in the same spots. We only have a couple of them left, and A-Rod was one of them. We thought Brady was going to be, but he wasn't. Stephen Curry maybe was one. I'm praying that Mike Trout is, but it doesn't look very good for that either. That I don't blame him for wanting to just give something else a shot.
He's been very loyal. It's not like it's a loyal move.
For
he
sure.
got them a Super Bowl
and before this loss yesterday, his last 4 conference championship losses, they had averaged like 35 points a game. It was never his fault. Like
his
you can blame
was usually selling on him.
You can blame him all he wants, but other than Devontae, I think including Devontae, they haven't spent a first round pick on a receiver in like 12 years. Or I think the top 2 rounds, the only players they've taken in are like Devontae, somebody else, and Amari Rodgers. And it's like maybe still like if you can tell them you're going to invest the draft completely in the offense, like literally say just be our GM for God's sakes. Like I mean, obviously if you're
Tom
the
Brady
Packers,
level control, let him.
I think as of right now, the Packers in terms of tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, the only people they have under contract for this next season is Jordan Love Amari Rodgers, and that number 81 Benetti or whatever that you don't even know the name of.
Yeah.
So they have some tough decisions to make, but they have to trade him. So from the Packers' perspective, I would assume usually people don't like to trade within conference.
They want to send him to the AFC where they don't have to.
So
see
that
him.
opens up what I think are
No,
really
not
very,
Denver.
very limited
No.
options.
No.
Denver is one.
No.
We have Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick,
That
Jerry
defense is
Jeudy,
ready to go,
Javonte
too.
Williams, an okay offensive line they can still invest in, a defense that is set, even though they were stupid for trading Von Miller because he looks like 2015 Von Miller again. 9-8 pressures today. Pittsburgh is the other one.
Yes, that's fine.
That has a quarterback going out and has a roster ready to go. I mean, we know Aaron would make Deontay Johnson literally look like a top 5 wide receiver.
He'd probably look like a top 3 receiver.
Yeah,
I mean,
like his
Deontay
numbers
was
at least
pretty
would
underrated.
be. Yeah, I mean, he'll have some drop issues every now and then, but he is very good. And A-Rod obviously makes guys look better than they are. I mean, who else is there? Miami, I guess, could make a run at him.
Could you imagine? That'd be crazy.
In terms of the NFC, Philadelphia's got 3 first-round picks. If you're the Packers, do you decide, like, yeah, we don't want to trade him in conference, but I mean, what, are you scared that you're going to have to play him in the playoffs? I think you need to have somewhat of an objective look and realize when we do trade him, that is officially putting us in rebuild mode. So let's just trade him to the highest bidder, no matter whether it's NFC or AFC. Yeah.
Teams need to be less. I understand the pride aspect of it, but there are situations where you can grab a haul and you're not going to be missing out on, like, be realistic about it, you know? I just feel
again,
like there's situations where, like, yeah, you're missing, like, all this production, but, like, you could have had 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and maybe, like, a mid-level player or something.
Well,
you're going to need it.
I'm sure they can get that from whoever. So they can probably choose to not send him to the NFC. Like, there's probably not going to be one team from the NFC that, like, offers them some crazy. I mean, the Saints, that's another team, loaded roster, great defense, ready to win. That could easily, although apparently this morning, there's something that Sean Payton hasn't been committal to coming back.
And
most people expect, not most people expect, but Amazon is getting the Thursday night games starting next year. And I think they're going to throw a bag at Troy Aikman and try to take him from Fox. So I guess Fox sees Sean Payton as, like, an analyst that they want to steal and put him, like, immediately with Joe Buck. I don't know if that's good or bad or what, but I mean, I think if the Saints had an option or an avenue to get Aaron Rodgers, Sean Payton would be a lot more open to coming back.
Yeah.
He probably just looks at his quarterback situation right now and is like, yeah, I'd rather be retired. But I guess I really think it would be AFC, but we're talking 3-4 first-round picks, and I think power rankings of what I think is going to happen, I would go Denver 1, puts him more on the West Coast. Number 2, Pittsburgh. Number 3, Philadelphia, and I only say that because they have 2 top 10 picks this year and 3 first-round picks overall, so they could just get rid of 1 year's worth of picks and all of a sudden just have A-Rod, which I would hate, obviously. Last thing I need is to see him twice a year, minimum.
Yeah. Well, that's my point, too.
Right. I have a little more history of him doing some damaging things to me. So
yeah.
The bottom line is it looks like it's over. I would be shocked if he was back. If we're going to do power rankings, the Packers are, I think, probably 6 or 7 on that list.
I agree.
We spent no time talking about the 49ers from that game, but there's not much to talk about.
They're good.
It's
we've seen it.
It's literally just a team that's
good
hot.
defense and can run the ball down your throat.
Yeah, they are reminiscent of, like, I guess you could say the Giants teams that were 9-7 that snuck in as a wild card team and just went road Super Bowl.
They're reminiscent of themselves a couple of years ago.
Right? Yeah. We saw it a few years ago, 28-3. This time it was 27-3, and everything was going the Rams' way in the first half. The pressure on Brady was just outrageous. Their right tackle, Tristan Wirfs, was out, and whoever was on that side, which most of the time was Von Miller, was just going through that guy like your guys is Ken Norton or whatever the hell. Storm Norton. Oh, yeah, Ken Norton is the shout-out. Seahawks got rid of their D coordinator. Thank God. But, I mean, their right tackle had problems. Their left tackle had problems. I mean, and then all of a sudden you stunt and you have Aaron Donald coming around the edge. I mean, he's just unreal. Talk about a front with Leonard Floyd, Von Miller playing like prime Von Miller, and Aaron Donald, and then with Ramsey, who shout out to Mike Evans. Ramsey got burnt today.
Yeah.
He got not even just burnt on the long touchdown, but I mean the comebacks. I mean when the Bucks were coming back, it was on comeback routes of Mike Evans just burning Jalen.
You think he's just biting because he expects like vertical shit out of him?
I guess he's just protecting the vertical because they had such a big lead, but he's also still so good at reading a quarterback's eyes. And then, I mean, you had to assume that Brady was going to be going to Mike Evans, so I'm surprised that Mike was getting the push off. But I mean, he's that type of receiver is the only one that's going to give Jalen trouble. A guy who is a route runner but can also be physical at the top of a route. Usually Jalen can out physical every single guy that he's covering.
Mike Evans is a big dude though. He's physical. He does not get
very.
his flowers enough.
No. The Cam Akers fumble right before half was huge. That saved at least 3 points. That was a great play by Antoine Winfield, who then blew it at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And then Cooper Kupp in the third quarter. That seemed to be what kicked off the comeback because, I mean, not even 3-4 plays after that, Fournette scores a touchdown. And then we have a punt. And then Von Miller, I mean, you're playing the game in your head like 27-3. We've seen this before. If there's anyone that's going to do this, Twitter's already saying that there's one score. Oh, God, is Brady about to get rolling? And then Von has that strip sack. And you're like, oh, shit. Well, I guess there goes that. And then the Rams give it immediately back, and not only give it back, but that whole sequence was best case scenario for the Bucks because over a 2-play span, they fumbled, Rams fumble, and the Bucks gain like 30 yards. So now they're just past midfield and they're going again. I think they score there, and then Matt Gay. I mean, again, it's almost like this Brady thing where it's like when he starts to come back, like I bet you there were guys on the Rams sideline who were like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like like guys, do you know who we're doing this? Like, do you know who we're dealing with? Because Matt Gay misses a 47-yard field goal short, like way short.
Yeah.
That was weird. And now all of a sudden it still is matched up to where they're only 3 scores down or whatever it is. I would like to. We said last week that we were going to complain about officiating.
Yeah. I
thought it was pretty good for the most part this weekend. The one that I hated was the roughing call on Eric Weddle.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I hated it because it should have been a first down Bucks. They said that it was after the play because the ball had technically hit the ground.
It's so much worse in slow motion, too. You know, it's like the speed of the game, like in real life, all that momentum.
Was for sure launching.
Oh, yeah.
When he thought he was either going to he's obviously trying to hit him to keep him from catching the ball.
Your body's doing it before he even is really processing.
And you're telling me that if it just gets tipped up in the air a little bit and he gets hit, that all of a sudden he gets the call, but because Evans kind of batted it down to the ground, that all of a sudden we're saying it's after the play? It's not after the play. After the play is if Mike Evans hits it down, takes 2 steps, and he's slowing down, and then Eric Weddle just comes and trucks him.
No,
But that was bang,
yeah.
bang.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been first down Bucks, and that was a play that, again, that I thought at the time, oh, great, they're down 2 scores, and there's only however much time left, and now, I mean, that's over. Like, that's no way. It kept the Rams with the ball instead of what would have been at, like, the 25-yard line. So I thought that was egregious, and I was very upset with it. They get it back. They're down 2 scores with 3:30 left, but they had to call their timeouts, so it literally felt over. And then he throws the bomb to Mike Evans, and you're like, holy shit! And now I'm going through down there, and we're going through. Okay, so there's 3:30 left, and they have no timeout. So if they run it once, it's gonna get it down to like 2:30, 2:40. They'll run it again, get it to so you're still only getting it back. No timeouts, down 7 with 1:20 left. Like, still very unlikely. Well, that wasn't even necessary because Ndamukong Suh forces Cam Akers' second fumble, and they get it back with, 2-something left? They get with plenty of time left, and they go...
Decent field position, too.
Decent field positions, and on 4th and 1, Fournette kicks it out. I think DJ Reader or whoever it was had a clear cut at him. Makes one guy miss. He strange stat, 7 straight playoff games that Fournette's had a touchdown, put him on a list with just Emmitt Smith and all these Hall of Famers. That was crazy. And now it's just tied. And like, it literally, like, are you kidding me? Like, we're doing this again. Brady's going to do this again. All these bullshit. I'm going out or whatever. I'm retired. Yeah. Everything's going wrong. Tyler Johnson can't catch a ball. It's just Mike Evans and a bunch of just Snow White and 7 dwarfs. Pick names. Like, he's playing with nobodies. And he's going to do this again. And then Stafford pulls a Brady on Brady, 42 seconds, hits Cooper Kupp twice, including the one. I don't know what the hell we're doing, letting Cooper Kupp just run down the field with only a safety, having to guard him.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? This guy's going to get 20 yards of like head start where Antoine all of a sudden has to turn around and try to run with him.
What is he doing? Like, you're playing downfield. Like, why are you biting so underneath? Like, I guess you're expecting him to maybe cut up and they're trying to do
I
chunk
guess,
plays,
but I mean,
like,
leave a corner on him and give him the help over the
a
top.
lot
But
of
don't just
miscommunication.
Yeah, I don't know what really that
Secondary
was.
looked pretty lost. It clearly isn't the dominant.
Al said it though. I mean, if Cooper Kupp isn't at least at top 5 in MVP voting,
He's
it's
so
a crime.
valuable.
It's
He
a
is so
crime.
valuable.
And it's insane. Shout out to the white guys, dude. That he's a white guy
He's representing.
representing.
He's representing.
And I don't feel bad saying that at all because the I almost was thinking in my head, man, should I say blacks? I don't know if I should say that. I mean, the black guys just dominate the league. They dominate all sports. It's great to have this guy representing us, and not only representing us, but from Eastern Washington too.
Really? Okay.
Pacific Northwest, shout out. And he gets drafted at like 6'2", 6'3", which is okay, but like 180 pounds. There's nothing about him other than he's good looking. But nothing about him that like stands out. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the jump balliest guy. He's not the breakaway speed guy. But
Plays the game the right way.
well, he can read defenses almost
Yeah.
like Stafford can. So
He's really smart.
Yeah,
He's
like hearing
super
him
smart.
describe plays and stuff after a couple times after the game this year. Did a
Mhm.
little bit today. Like it's so fun, and
Really smart.
he is just unbelievable. 9 for 183 and a touchdown, and it sets them up. Gets them, I think. Yeah, sets them up for not even like a 38-yard field goal or something. And Matt Gay at the buzzer
Let's go.
wins it, and we get a Rams 49ers game back in SoFi. Like I said before, 6 straight wins for the 49ers against the Rams. What do we expect next Sunday?
I think it'll end up being the Rams. I think Stafford is going to out quarterback Jimmy, and I think it's going to show. I think Von Miller is fresh. He hurt, but sitting out kind of. It's kind of debatable. He looks great now. Odell looks really good. Cooper Kupp is
Odell
great.
looked great again today.
That one's like sideline catch, like in the red zone, dude. Come on. That's just, come on. Like, he's still fantastic. So I think the 49ers are really good, but they have a really good run defense. And I think that Stafford could pick them apart down the field.
8 targets, 6 catches, 70 yards for Odell, 69 to be exact. Just looks great. Just fit, him and Cooper just fit great. I mean, they're that one kind of Michael Gallup, like jump ball guy from just having your exact trio. Mike Williams guy that is like we were a perfect receiving core.
Yeah.
But I mean, even Higbee's a great like tight end. Like he's great. The running game coming alive at the last couple. I mean, it wasn't great today. Cam Akers averaged 2 yards a carry, but over the last couple games, it's looked better. If they can run the ball, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know who's going to win because I didn't think the Niners team-wise were better than the Cowboys. I didn't think they were team-wise better than the Packers, but they're just kind of on this. I think they've won now 9 of their last 11 games. 7, yeah, they're 9-2 in their last 11. I mean, they're probably the hottest team. I would like to think that, again, like you said, Stafford's just going to outplay Jimmy.
I feel like the Rams are going to score in a good quantity.
It's going to be Stafford, I guess.
I think it's going to come down to Stafford.
Because the Niners D is playing well, Rams D is playing well.
Can't really
Special teams
run it
will
on
say
'em.
even. Kicking games will say are even. Matt Gay's the Pro Bowler this year, and Robbie Gould hasn't missed a playoff kick ever. Like, it's going to come down to Stafford. What made us feel iffy the last few weeks of the season going into the playoffs was that Stafford had these games, like 3 or 4 of them with multiple interceptions and throws that you're like, what the hell is that? Like,
to say win now season,
Right.
they traded for him.
but
win
today, 366, 2 touchdowns, no picks. No picks last week. The offense just is clicking. He's making reads. He's making throws. He's not especially not making the bad throws that it's going to be.
Should be able to handle, because if it's Matthew Stafford that has to win it, it's by that same rule Jimmy that really has to win it. Because if Stafford's playing good, Jimmy just has to kind of pull it out of his
Right.
ass too, you
The
know?
formula, which is why after that first drive in the Packers game, I was like, oh, there's no way that they're going to win this. Because if this turns into a Jimmy has to throw us back into this game,
Exactly.
then it ain't happening.
Mhm.
So now and I don't expect him to, because I feel like with the front right now that Rams are playing with, as well as the linebackers and corner. Like, I don't
AB
imagine they're going to
and-
be able to run the ball very well. That's obviously their formula. If
Yeah,
Elijah
not with-
Mitchell can have 120 yards and Debo can rush for 75 or 60 while having 80 or to 115 catching, and they're
Leonard, Floyd,
controlling
and-
the
yeah.
pace and the play, then that's when Jimmy, you can either hide his mistakes or he actually looks good when he's on schedule and when everything's working like that. It'll take the Rams having to get out ahead, I think, early to at least keep it from. Otherwise, what's most likely going to happen is that Stafford plays well, not amazing. Jimmy plays not great and not bad. And then it comes down to a fourth quarter that we need to either see Jimmy have a drive. I expect it to be close. So I expect it to be a fourth quarter
There's gonna
game.
be some drama.
And one of these quarterbacks is going to get criticized, I guess. I don't expect it to be this Bills-Chiefs game, I guess, is what we can say, where both quarterbacks played great and neither deserved to lose. Like,
Yeah.
one of them is unfortunately going to just not, I think, step up to it. And again, we just have to think that's going to be Jimmy G. What a weekend, dude.
Crazy sports weekend.
What a weekend.
Underdog Saturday.
Yeah, really, other than the Chiefs, just underdog weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out Francis again. Shout out Dana. Screw you. Pay your fighters. Especially, you want to know how much Francis made last night? A champion of the sport.
Was it another 500 or maybe 200?
600.
600.
Made 600,000.
That's gross.
Which means for the last year, he has, in a sport that made $1 billion in revenue last year, their heavyweight champion, baddest man on the planet, made a combined $1.15 million.
Doing irreversible damage to himself, mind
Right.
you. Irreversible damage. Putting his body on the line for them to profit out of their ass.
1.15 million on a card that had Cyril Gahn making 400,000, Brandon Moreno 250, and Davis and Figueiredo 150. So that's
There's-
250, 150, 400, 600, 1 mil. You had your 4 fighters carrying that pay-per-view making just over $1 million.
And there's
Like, what are we doing?
There's
He
people
made
in-
probably 70 million. If there were, I was saying this last night, so it's now that they jacked it up, which again, not UFC fault, it's ESPN, but regardless, $75 for a pay-per-view. Let's say a conservative side, I think, is a million pay-per-view buys, because like the top ones, like the McGregors, do like mid twos or whatever. So let's just be generous on the lower side and say with 2 titles, still a great card. Michel Pereira, great fighter. Let's just say 1 million pay-per-views. That means they made 75 million just in pay-per-views. Just in pay-per-views. That doesn't include everything else that they get from the promotion leading up to it. Like, what are we doing, man? Pay your fucking fighters. And Dana's not there to wrap the belt around him, and he's not there at the post-fight presser. And Francis already posted a picture like of a poster on his Twitter of him and Fury, Tyson Fury.
He
It's like
did.
2022. Yeah, because he's gonna make a
Cool.
bag. He's gonna
Good.
make a fat 30 million, 40 million from
two
fight.
fights, and he would just be set up for life.
Yeah. And if he has the Tyson one, for sure, people are gonna pay, even if he got waxed, to see him box Deontay Wilder. And then I would pay to watch him fight. I'll stream it, but I would pay to watch him fight Anthony Joshua too. And that's just, again, 3 fights that he could make. Again, let's be generous and on the lower side, $50-60 million. Some real fuck you money. Real fuck you money that this guy, after his story, deserves, as well as other fighters. And at least all fighters shouldn't be making $12,000 a fight, and they're getting 2 fights a year.
Especially like the UFC and mixed martial arts, because say boxing still destroys your body, but like a lot of boxing now can be like tagging for points and like evasive. You're getting like kicked in the head, and like
I don't know. I think a lot of people will makes the argument actually that boxing is way worse because it is mostly just repeated shots to the head and then all the sparring you do leading up to it, where in MMA there's a lot more ground game and
getting
submission
out of
game.
it, yeah,
And the
okay.
submission game is a lot like, if you get like Joe says it a lot, you get choked out. He's gotten choked out 100 times before. Like, there's no long-term damage. Like, you get choked out and you immediately come to, or you tap and like there's no long-term
Catch your
damage
breath.
done really at
Yeah.
all. So yeah, there's a striking and they only use 4-ounce gloves and whatever. They're for sure getting like brain damage, but it's maybe not to the extent, I guess, of boxers. But regardless, this is a sport and a league, and I've heard people talk about they're still in the leather helmet days. Like, it's only been, I think UFC 1 was in like 2003 or 4. Like, we're not even, I think, 20 years old for the sport. So it'll take, I don't know what
It'll
it's going to take.
Players,
It's way out of my
champions.
criteria to decide what is a fair contract. Obviously, it's not like the NFL and NBA where you're signing guys like to teams or whatever for like 4 or 5 years. Like,
But maybe there
their
will be
fight
a fighters
contracts and, like,
association, and you
there
can
should
sanction the
be.
contracts maybe. And
There should be, and then like they at least gotta fix the minimum pay. Like, yeah, like
champion should
the
be
fact that
making
you have
way
a
more.
fighter on a card who's living out of their car, like, and is fighting literally just to keep their lights on is ridiculous.
While they give you extreme profit.
Yeah, when they give $1 billion in revenue and we're just getting started, it's only going to
They
go
live in
up.
a
It's only
car.
getting more popular.
A car.
Yeah,
and
there's
they're
like
making
a video
billions
from one of the fights back
dollars.
in like September, October, November of like this girl who's in her post-fight presser, and one of her coaches comes over and tells her that she just won fight of the night, and if you're part of the fight of the night or performance of the night, you get an extra $50,000. Which is cool, and that's cool that they do that.
huge.
And when he told her that, yeah, she just started breaking down crying because she literally was living out of her car. And that's just ridiculous. I don't know, again, what the parameters of it be. That would be maybe a fun thing to like spend a lot of time researching and diving and figuring out what a real type of system could be. But I mean, can we just make these people, like, give them some fucking respect? Like, honestly, like, that's just not giving them respect, let alone the superstars who actually go through all these wars and get to the top still not making fuck you money. Like, that's just ridiculous. I mean,
Getting your
Stephen
head
Curry
caved in for 10
makes
years.
more in one game than these fighters are making in a year, let alone over the course of a season, where now they're making $40 million, which maybe you could argue is too much. But it's just something that got needs to be fixed. But regardless, that was such a fun weekend, and I'll still be watching these UFC fights and really can't wait. So we have officially, we think Chiefs Rams is what we think.
Yeah, and we're not going to be able to cover it next week, so
Right.
let's get our Super Bowl predictions in.
Yeah,
And we'll talk about it once. We'll
have
talk
one.
about the game
Yeah,
before.
We'll
but
definitely have another one before.
I guess championship predictions.
We just won't have an instant reaction to it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I will
Chiefs,
say
Rams.
Chiefs take the Bengals. I'll say 34-28. Haven't looked at lines, but I assume Chiefs are
31
probably 3.5.
I'll go
4.
31-24 Chiefs.
And I'll go Rams 27-17.
I'll go 27-24.
Oh, close.
27-24. Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
that. Let's run with that.
All right. Good
Okay.
shit. All right. Shout out everybody for enjoying, all of our NFL fans. That was just so much fun. Absolutely love this game. That was the best weekend of sports I've watched in a long time. So can't wait for next weekend, dude.
Yep.
Can't wait for it. Boise, I'll see you on Friday. Shout out. All right,
Boys.
go.